Can I ask you about the economy, Bill? Do you think that, the big debate taking place now is whether we need a stimulus or a COVID relief plan as large as President Biden is proposing, 1.9 trillion. There are people who say the output gap is not that big. There are others who say, look, most of this is going toward public health and relief for people who aren't allowed to work. What do you think? Is it the right size?
Well, the government always has a hard time targeting exactly the people who are in need, and particularly if you're designing programs very quickly. There's no doubt there's some number of people who really are still suffering. Say it's 15% out there. The other 85% had the benefit of last year's stimulus activities, and actually, the poverty rate's down, aggregate income levels are up. So it will be tricky when you want to move fast to be targeted. If you add this stimulus to the next round, the Build Back Better, that makes at least a few commentators worry about inflationary pressure. So I know there's a lot of good things in the stimulus bill, and the Build Back Better is going to have a lot of fantastic climate-related stuff in it. But I hope, we can target it better. And we are definitely getting to levels that those inflationary worries aren't crazy.
You said in another interview that you thought that the permanent ban on Donald Trump and Twitter should be rethought. And I wanted to use that as a way to ask you about what would be the right solution. You were thinking through in that response that there must be some way to make sure that lies and falsehoods and conspiracy theories don't spread while keeping, honoring the First Amendment. And I was wondering what you thought of this idea, which was that the algorithms that are created by companies like Facebook and Twitter and all the social media companies are designed to keep us all hooked. And so, the more sensational, the more outrageous, the more dramatic get preference over the more boring, so that Hillary Clinton running a child prostitution ring in a pizza parlor is going to get more clicks than Bill Gates has a new book about climate. Do you think that the government should and can mandate that these algorithms be written in a way so that they don't just take you down these rabbit holes and that provide, show you facts, show you information? Is that an appropriate way to think about this?
Well, I'm not as expert on this as, say, malaria eradication or climate change, but I think there's a difference between if somebody says, I want Donald Trump specifically to be, his messages to come to me, versus putting into somebody's feed similar kind of outrageous, things that are corrosive about the election that, then you're selecting in somebody who wasn't directly requested. So yes, those feed algorithms, we are at a very immature stage of understanding how the government and companies should avoid those being magnification of conspiracy theories. I do think there's probably some solution there.
Finally, Bill, I asked you about what the fall would look like for most of us. There's also a big debate taking place with all this money that has been showered by the federal government. That some people think we're going to see an explosion of economic growth in the United States in the fall. Others think it's going to be a much longer process because a lot of stuff isn't going to come back, business travel, theaters, things like that. What do you think? Are we going to have a big boom in the fall?
Well, certainly off of the base, the sectors like entertainment and tourism, as those come back, that will add. Now, some sectors like furniture buying and other things have been super strong. And of course, the stock market has had this income effect because of the interest rate situation. To me, the most interesting question really isn't the next 12 months. It's the permanent change to the notion of does a salesman have to, go be physically in the office? When world leaders meet, Like, say I'm talking to African heads of state. Will they keep a block of time so we can have that quick 20-minute meeting more often, instead of flying all the way there for the 1 hour meeting every few years? So the behavior change about only being in the office, say, a quarter of the time, or telehealth, or better online education, those are the changes that I'm fascinated by, which are permanent changes to behavior that could change how you think about downtown commercial space dramatically.
And your gut is that these changes are here to stay?
Yes, I think so. I think that, if half the companies have their employees come in 1 week out of 4, that the, traffic patterns and the sharing of real estate between companies, that's a very dramatic change, with rents going down, traffic jams going down, winners and losers, but overall very positive.
Bill Gates, thanks so much for taking the time. It is a terrific book, everyone. You really should go out and get it. And thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Fareed.